Vigilance, brothers. Always vigilance.
Let's rock!
Bring fire upon us and we shall return it!
I'm going to be completely honest, I didn't really know what to think when a developer I've never heard of in my entire life was founded in 2015, has been bought and sold multiple times and doesn't have a single video game to its name, announced they were going to do their own take on Aliens.
Well, that's great. That's just fucking great, man.
After Aliens Colonial Marines, my hopes for an actual good adaptation of what it feels like to be inside of a Xenomorph hive, shoulder to shoulder with your peers, was forever extinguished. Fast forward to last week, I received an email from Cold Iron Studios where they provided me with some Steam keys in exchange for reviewing the game. I hit up my friends, boot up the game, and a dozen hours later, hundreds of thousands of rounds fired and thousands of fucking Xenos exterminated. I can definitely say, my friends, that Aliens Fireteam Elite rocks pretty damn hard.
That is correct.
Of course, no video game is perfect, and this one is not an exception. Cold Iron is a studio with a mere 40 developers, and with a limited budget they had to cut a lot of things from the game, from facial animations and lip syncing to an actual developed storyline.
I only need to know one thing. Where they are.
Let's talk about the story, which there is basically none. Se maman, not chingen. The story in Alien Fireteam Elite is as basic and bare bones as the one in Destiny. Actually no, scratch that. Destiny has more story than this game.
It's pathetic.
There's not an actual protagonist, there are no characters with which you can identify with. The story in this game is basically a day in the life of a Colonial Marine, which involves killing a ton of motherfucking Xenos, man.
You secure that shit, Hudson.
Even before playing the game, I knew what the overall story was going to be about. Wayland Yutani fucks up everyone again in the culo. When I say that this story is as basic as it is, it's mainly because the game doesn't really do a good job to push the story forward in a meaningful way. Aside from the intro cutscene, where we see the USS Endeavour Marine ship approaching LV-826, this game has no cutscenes at all. All story elements are delivered from briefing dialogues from other soldiers, your commanding officer, etc., and when they are talking through comms. But honestly, how the fuck am I supposed to focus on the story when I have hundreds of fucking Xenos crawling up behind mis nalgas, not chingues?
I want you to lay down a suppressing fire with the...
That's straight. Hold your fire, goddammit!
You can choose different dialogue options to get a little bit more story or find hidden intel through the levels that add more story to the game. I would normally say this is a negative thing because it is, but I think this game is an exception in that regard. The Alien story has been tailed to death. This franchise is 42 years old, my friends, and everyone and their mother knows that at the very end it was always Wayland Yutani's fault. There was nothing new that Cold Iron Studios could have added to the story. Aliens Fireteam Elite is not trying to send a deeper message with its storytelling, nor is it trying to impact your life in a meaningful way. This game has only one purpose, and one purpose alone, and that is to make killing motherfucking Xenos be fun and badass as hell.
Check it out. I am the ultimate badass. State of the badass art.
Aliens Fireteam Elite is a third-person co-op horse shooter set 26 years after the original trilogy of Aliens. Yeah, we don't talk about Alien Resurrection here. Pinche película es una mierda. You can play this game solo with a pair of AI companions or synths, but the developers themselves state that this game is meant to be played in co-op with your friends. The game even states in higher difficulties that it is really not a good idea to play this game with synths. It's not that the AI is bad or anything, but when shit really goes down, and it will go down, you would want your friendlies to focus fire at the real threat. One thing this game does absolutely phenomenal is how it sets the mood and atmosphere. From the art direction to sound design, you feel like a Colonial Marine. You feel like you are back down in LV-426. You feel that if you stop shooting for any reason alone, then you will die. It's 1986 all over again, baby, and I love it so damn much. Aesthetically, this game screams James Cameron's Aliens, from the armor your character wears, how they look physically, the sound of the weapons, and the weapons themselves. I don't know how to describe it, but even though the game is set in the year 2145, humanity still uses the same type of old school ultra advanced technology they used back in the original Alien. The USS Sulaco, the Colonial Marine ship they used in Aliens, is able to travel 0.939 light years per day, but still uses technology that you would see back in the 80s. This is obviously Ridley Scott's vision on how humanity's technology would look like in the 22nd century. Old Iron had all the freedom to just modernize that aesthetic to something more present like Prometheus, but they decided to keep the 80s aesthetic, and honestly, it looks way better. I don't know why, but I would take the 80s look of the Marines in the setting 10 times out of 10. Simplemente lo amo, es una verga. They just look more badass and with more personality. The golden age of cinema was truly the 80s and the 90s. Change my mind.
Me and my squad of ultimate badasses will protect you.
In conclusion, this is the most Aliens video game you will ever play. And now that we're talking about playing the game, let's talk about the gameplay.
Brother, bring the flamer. The heavy flamer.
Aliens Fireteam Elite starts here, on a character creator menu. There's not much to talk about here, as it is not super deep as you might think. You can choose from 15 different presets for your face, hair, and then call it a go. You can be a woman or a man, long hair, short hair, whatever. The game then spawns you on a hangar, and you're able to pick one from 4 different classes: Gunner, Demolitioner, Technician, and Doctor, with Recon, the 5th class, being unlocked after beating the campaign once on normal difficulty. Each class comes with 2 abilities that make it unique. The Gunner is able to throw grenades for crowd control and is able to give a buff to him and its teammates that increases the rate of fire of the weapons. This comes especially handy when a big Xeno like a Warrior, Praetorian, or Crusher come rushing like fucking mad lads at you and your friends.
¿Puedo tunear?
The Demolitioner is the only one out of the 5 classes that is able to use the Smart Gun, so that automatically makes it the best class from the fucking game. You can throw an AoE stun blast to stagger enemies and use your shoulder turret to shoot some heavy ballistics. The Technician has an infinite supply of mounted turrets and can set electrical charges that damage enemies who pass through them over time wherever he wants. The Doctor can give a buff to its teammates that increases their stamina and stability, and it can also set a healing station that creates a healing area of effect. This healing station though is not unlimited, and it can only be charged by picking up more first aid kits. Recon can set a drone sensor that will show up the outline of fucking Xenos even behind the walls, and it can set a drone that gives you ammo. On normal difficulty it might not make a huge difference, but on higher difficulties where the Xenos are not outlined in the slightest, having a drone that can show you exactly where they are is convenient as hell. Every class has its own role in this game, and I found myself missing all of them when playing different classes with my fire team. It makes you wonder why Old Iron Studios decided to go with a team of 3 instead of 5. The only class I think needs a little bit of a workaround is the Doctor. Yes, in higher difficulties this class is an absolute must, but the healing station has way too little health points to heal with, and first aid kits become even more scarce at the higher difficulty settings. Also, the first aid kits do not charge up the healing station to its maximum capacity. Besides that, you need to be inside a 2-meter long radius to get the effect. That's a pretty small circle to play with, especially in a game when shit can hit the fan rather quick, and it will hit the fan rather quick.
It's pathetic.
But besides all of that, I think all classes complement each other really well, especially Gunner and Demolitioner. There's a really cool synergy going on between both of them. When a big fucking Xeno appears, the Gunner can activate its rate of fire buff, and the Demolitioner can absolutely melt that big fucking Xeno with the Smart Gun. Add in some close range shotgun action in the mix and those big bastards die pretty quick. The developers could just have added the pulse rifle, smart gun and a shotgun and I would have been completely fine. Those 3 weapons are the holy trinity of aliens. But no, this game has a pretty vast selection of weaponry at your disposal. From magnums, burst pistols, SMGs, DMRs, burst rifles, snipers, automatic shotguns and even a flamethrower. You can find attachments while running through a level and install them into your weapon. Muscle mods, magazine types and sights being the 3 available right now. Each attachment gives percentage buffs to your weapon, like X% more stability, handling, weak point damage, rate of fire, reload speed, etc. And it all adds to your overall combat rating. It's not like the bigger the combat rating, the more powerful or stronger you become. This is not Destiny's light level system. Those stats increases do matter. In Aliens Fireteam Elite, the bigger your combat rating, the more prepared you are for hard difficulty settings, and that's all there is to it. You can customize your gun with different camos and stickers. You can move the sticker around the gun and change its size at will, giving you all creative freedom to create the skin you want, with some limitations of course. I tried all of the weapons they gave me and while they are really cool to use, this is Aliens. I cannot betray the holy trifecta of the pulse rifle, shotgun and smart gun. At the end of the day, these were the weapons I came back to, as they are the best ones of the bunch. If your gun doesn't sound like this while killing Xenos, then you are dead to me. Sound design in this game is really fucking good. Pulse rifle sounds exactly how it should. Xenomorphs sound like, well, fucking Xenos. But what I loved about the sound design is how well it sets the mood and enhances the experience. I don't know how to describe it really well, but when holding off against a big horde of fucking Xenos, each one of my friends covering a flank and my back, I could hear every once in a while that iconic Xenomorph that screech. And that just keeps my blood pumping in some ways, adding the fact that everything sounds like old school tech and you have this awesome mix of sounds that create a very cool experience. The soundtrack is just as good too. Now you will expect a game like this to have a heavy metal OST like Doom or Dusk, you know, rip and tear fucking Xenos until it is done. But no, it's quite the opposite. The soundtrack adds this level of mystery, awe, suspense and thriller to the levels. You are not this super soldier that is dead set on exterminating the Xenomorphs. You are just a normal marine that just so happened to be intertwined with a Xenomorph hive. The soundtrack is not trying to make you feel like an unstoppable god. Instead, like a desperate soldier just trying its very damn best to survive.
No puede ser. Un pinche Peter, güey, me dio, güey.
And that's why I can do nothing but recommend this game if you are a fan of Alien or just horde shooters in general. Of course, this game does not only contain Xenomorphs that probably incubated from animals, you also get special Xenos as well. From Xenos that spit acid, from crawlers that jump at you, and suicide bombers. You also get 4 Xenos that will make all the attention of the Fireteam go directly to them. Drones, warriors, Praetorians and Crushers. Those big bastards are really going to do some damage, so be ready to fucking shoot everything at them. As crazy as it may sound, this game is not only about fighting fucking Xenos. While progressing through the story and finding out that Wayland Yutani is being a huge puñetas once again, you also fight against armed Synths, and they also have their special breed, Wardens, Suicide Banzai, Heavy Flamers, and Guy with Big Gun. At first, it was a very welcoming surprise. I mean, what? Fighting scenes? Let's go. But I will say that this is the weakest section of the game, as it quickly becomes a generic cover-based shooter. In the later act of the story though is when things really heat up, and that is when you discover that Weyland-Yutani had its private military securing the black goo from a crashed engineer juggernaut, and had plans to send this, all of this, to Earth.
Fuck! He's dead. You're dog meat, pal.
This was a very welcoming surprise. Mixing the canon of Aliens with the one of Prometheus is something I can get behind, even though Alien Covenant es una puta mierda. Anyways, inside the ship we found Marines that were infected with the black goo, and some wildlife that had sprouted from the containers as well.
Mierda. Are those people?
Making in total 4 different enemy types you fight in the whole story. Fucking Xenos, fucking synths, stupid mutated humans, and stupid face huggers. That is quite the diversity for a campaign that lasts about 6 hours. Now, this game is filled to the brink with fan service, but it's fan service done right. It doesn't feel like the developers placed all of those cool movie Easter eggs just for the sake of it. Every iconic sequence that happened in this game from past movies felt natural. It was there because it is supposed to be there. Weyland-Yutani found an engineer cruiser on a still unknown planet. The ship obviously was going to contain the black goo, as it is used by the engineers to create life as we know it. And an engineer ship will obviously contain its pilot deck, its iconic suits, etc.
Is this something we can mess with?
This game does a lot of things right, but one thing that did absolutely terrible was the ending. I won't spoil it to you, but if you are a fan of this franchise, then you already know what is it. But yeah, talk about anticlimactic. My thoughts on the ending is that maybe they will add more story missions later on as DLC, and if that is the case, awesome. Que bueno. In conclusion, Aliens Fireteam Elite is a solid take on the Aliens IP, and I strongly recommend it to anyone that is a fan of this franchise or just a fan of horde shooters overall. Thanks for watching this video. This video was brought to you by my Patreon supporters. Special thanks to Savior Ward, Cole Thompson, Jack Attack Hero, the Boss Icon of Sin, Karu Kenshi, Doomslayer 471, Elite Chancho, Saint Hanthorn, General Clipto, Unknown User 0, Awesombra, Florian Hablo, and Grayson West. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, stay safe and have an awesome day. Adios, bye.